I'm George Takei, and I was born here in Los Angeles, 1937. My parents were living in the Wilshire district, right near Bullock's, Wilshire. However, I claim to have been born in Boyle Heights because they knew a midwife in Boyle Heights on Boyle Avenue, as a matter of fact. And so when my mother was ready to give birth, um, my father drove her over to Boyle Heights. It was Mrs. Kato, I remember they're saying. And I was born there on Boyle Avenue in East LA. I have one brother a year younger, Henry, and a sister, Nancy Reiko. We call her Reiko. A portion of my childhood, up until I was 5 years old, was spent, or up until I was about 3, I guess, and then the rest in Boyle Heights. My mother was a Nisei, born in Sacramento. My grandparents came over in the 1890s, and my mother was born there. My father was born in Japan, Yamanashi, a prefecture at the foot of Mount Fuji, but he lost his mother when he was very young. And my paternal grandfather, my father's father, decided to start life anew in a new country, the United States. And so he came to San Francisco with his 2 boys. My father was the younger of the 2 boys. And so my father, born in Japan, was raised in San Francisco, educated in San Francisco, went to college in San Francisco, and then moved down to Los Angeles. First publisher of Ralph Shimpo, Mr. Komai, knew my mother's family, and he brought her together with my father, and they dated for a while, and then they got married here in Los Angeles. And that's where I was born. Oh, my mother said she had to chase me in my diapers because I kept running away from them. This is pre-war me. And then later when we moved to Boyle Heights, they would have friends over, and this dancing, bouncing, show-off kid would bounce in and say, "I learned Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star today. Would you like me to perform it for you?" And so I was a performer from the time I was very young. When I was about 9 or 10, and this was in grammar school, I was starting to realize that I'm different in ways other than just my Japanese face. The other boys were saying things like, "Sally's cute." I thought Sally was nice, but Bobby, he was exciting. But most of the guys thought Sally was cute. So I wanted to be like the rest of the guys. And I said, "Yeah, Sally is cute." But as I grew older and I went to junior high school, they would start saying things like, "Wow, Monica's hot." Monica was prematurely blossoming out in full womanhood. And if that's the way the guys think about Monica, yeah, Monica is hot. But I thought Rick was really. And my heartthrob in high school was Tab Hunter. He was a blonde, heart-stoppingly handsome movie star. Every movie coming from Warner Brothers Studio starred Tab Hunter. I just knew that I was excited by boys, and the other guys were excited by girls. But I thought that just made me feel different. And I must say, it made me feel a little lonely too, because I was the only one that felt that way, that I was hiding and keeping in. I began my college career as a good son. My father wanted me to be an architect. He was in real estate.
I see, okay.
And I think I got the idea, or what I guessed at what probably my father was thinking about. He wanted an architect's son, and he wanted to put up a sign reading, Takei and Son Real Estate Development. I would design the building and he would develop it. But after 2 years and I still like architecture. It's a fascinating calling. But my real passion, the fire burning in my stomach, is theater. Even as an architecture student, I was volunteering to be one of the extras in a production by the drama department of a production of Macbeth. I was hidden under a wig and lots of beard, but in a Scottish warrior's kilts and all, in the final scene in Macbeth, the Battle of Dunsinane. It was great fun. I wanted to go to New York and study at the Actors Studio. So I came back to have this heart-to-heart talk with my father. And I announced that I wanted to go to New York and study at the Actors Studio. And my father knew me well enough to prepare himself for that possibility that I would bring up that issue. And he had thought of some options. He said, yes, I knew this discussion would be coming up. And I said, yes, Actors Studio is one of the most distinguished acting school in America. That's where all the great ones were coming from. Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, James Dean. And he said, yes, I know. But when you finish there, they won't give you a diploma that says you're a legitimately educated person. Your mother and I would want you to have that. So you should be mindful that New York is a crowded, competitive place and an expensive place, and you have to be prepared to do it all on your own. However, right here in town, at UCLA, they have a fine acting school, or theater school. And when you study there and you finish there, they will give you a diploma that says you're a legitimately educated person. Your mother and I want you to have that. If you go to UCLA, we'll subsidize you. So you decide, New York on your own or UCLA with subsidy. My father was like a mafia chieftain, a deal that you can't say no to. And I made a self-discovery. I'm a practical kid. I went with the subsidy. My father's suggestion of UCLA was a good idea because we appear in plays at UCLA as theater students, and because UCLA is a part of Hollywood, casting directors come by. And I was seen by a Warner Brothers casting director and plucked out of a play at UCLA and put into my first feature film while still a theater student at UCLA. It was Edna Ferber's epic novel, Ice Palace, and it was the role of a Chinese immigrant cannery worker. And I worked together with an English cannery worker in a fish cannery in Alaska. It was a fantastic opportunity while still a student. 2 weeks on location and 2 months back at the studio. I mean, it was a fantastic opportunity. And the movie starred 2 great stars, a new actor named Richard Burton, a Shakespearean actor from England and the American actor Robert Ryan, playing the rugged outdoorsman. And the idea of working with Richard Burton, I was a Shakespeare buff, and here he was, one of the vaunted young Shakespearean actors from England. And all my scenes were with Richard. The first 2 weeks on location. When you're on location, you know, and particularly on a small fishing village on the inland waterway, there isn't much to do. And so I got to know him quite well, and sitting set side in between shots as they were futzing with the lights and all. I was an excited, absolutely stage-struck, star-struck student actor. And here's, sitting right beside me, this glamorous actor from England, British actor, Richard Burton. And I was peppering him with questions. And it was a good fit because Richard loved talking about himself. So I was peppering him, and he would regale me with stories about working with Laurence Olivier, or how he prepared for the first time he did Hamlet at the Old Vic Theater, or when he came to Broadway and worked with Helen Hayes. I mean, I was in seventh heaven for a theater student. And then 2 months back at the studio, and then I was back. I mean, even then, I wasn't needed for every scene. There were many days that I was off, so I went back to my classes, and sometimes I tried to avoid bringing the script to class because it was a little kind of show-offish. I was the envy of all the other classmates there, but I worked on my script in between class on campus at UCLA, and so that was my first feature film, my first gig in front of a camera. One Day Confidential magazine exposed Tab Hunter as gay. But then all the pictures from Warner Brothers didn't star Tab Hunter as they did. He just disappeared. Oh, it's not good to be gay. And I wanted to be an actor. And even when you're a big star, when people discover that you're gay, then you can't, they won't hire you. And so when I started my acting career, my aspiration, I tried to be as straight and as masculine as I possibly could be. I went to the gym, I worked out, you know, all the things to be like the other guys. I was a runner. I like to keep fit. I was on the track team at LA High, and I was on the a long distance team in the winter years at LA High. And I kept up my running while still at college. And I enjoyed running, so I was running all the time. I was pursuing a career, and it was going well. I had my first series, Star Trek. And at one of the gay bars, they have these free throwaway newspapers, and there was an article about a gay running club, Front Runners, LA Front Runners. And I thought, oh, that might be kind of fun to run with other runners. And they had a date on Thursdays. They meet at Silver Lake. And so I drove there, parked the car, and there was a bunch of guys there and a few girls, and we chit-chatted, and then at the appointed hour, we all started running. And there's the front runner of the Front Runner running club was this tight-muscled, lean athlete. He was the best runner. He had this beautiful stride. And so, you know, I kind of chit-chatted with him. And then some of the other runners told me that that guy, Brad, had done 2 marathons. Marathons. That's 26.2 miles. I'd never done that many miles. 10K was about the extent. And so I went up to him and said, will you train me for my first marathon? He was a nice guy. He said, yeah, I'd be happy to. And got up early in the morning, met him at our running site, and we trained, and I finished my first marathon. Brad came in way before me, more than an hour before me, but I ran that 26.2 miles. 0.2 miles. That's the important part of it. The final 0.2. And I kept improving on it, but thanks to Brad's help, and things started happening after that. If I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have behaved in the way I did. I like to deal with the reality that I dealt with then, because that shaped me and made me who I am. It's important to deal with the reality that you're faced with, and how you deal with that will form you. And I'm who I am today because of all of the challenges I had, all of the setbacks I've had, all of the struggles that I've had to go over. How I dealt with the challenges then made me smarter, it made me stronger, and that shaped the real me today.